What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So yes, we finally have an agreement. Earlier today, the group of bipartisan negotiators agreed on the details of this roughly $1.2 trillion infrastructure package. Many Democrats at this point are also stating that they are only agreeing to this small of a bill simply because it is being told, or the understanding from senators is, if they pass this 1.2 or roughly $1.2 trillion infrastructure package, then Senators Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema will also support that $3.5 trillion Democrat-only bill. That is it. So, in today's video, we are going to discuss the agreement, kind of some of the details on this bill. We're going to discuss the infrastructure package, what it has to do with the fourth stimulus check, and what we're going to see regarding that. We're also going to dive into the new student loan news, and I want to talk about auto prices for new cars. So hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day so far. If you could, and you enjoy these daily uploads, can you go ahead and hit that like button? So what we know right now is the negotiators, they have been arguing over the price of the bill. You know, the $1.2 trillion. Some Republicans are saying, it's still a little too pricey for us. Other Democrats are saying we should go higher. But the main negotiations, the main discussions were around the public transit and arguing over the amount of funding going towards that. They were talking about broadband and also how to repurpose the existing funding from the previous stimulus packages. Now, according to a few progressives, they are extremely upset that Democrats are battling it out over funding for public transportation. They say this is the last thing we need to be battling over. They are okay right now with the price of the bill at roughly $1.2 trillion. But progressives are saying, why are we fighting over the little bit over that's going towards public transit when we are all okay with spending billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars on government military budgets? And so that's the question today is, why is it acceptable to give money to the military? And again, this is not coming from me. This is what progressives are asking. Why is it acceptable to give hundreds of billions of dollars to the military when they essentially don't need that much money? Because we got stuff just sitting around and we're loaning things to people, right? But why do we accept that? But then when it comes to actually providing to the American people, the government isn't willing to do that. And let me get your response down in the comment section below. Why do you think this is? Why is it so important that we fight over 10, 20, maybe $50 billion, but when it comes to hundreds of billions of dollars, yeah, it's okay. That's perfectly fine, right? I just don't understand, and many people don't either. Even progressives are saying they don't understand the thinking behind this. One progressive also said, after the year that we have had and the amount of people losing their homes and cars, more people will be needing these public transportation services just to get around. And I couldn't agree more. Currently, there's about 500,000 people here in the United States that are homeless. However, my expectation is this number is somewhat low. My guess is it's actually a little bit higher. But what happens in the next 3 days once the eviction moratorium expires? What happens then? What will we see? Will we see homelessness increase at that point? Most likely. That's what experts are predicting, is we will see this increase at some point. So even though the negotiators have reached an agreement on this deal, okay, it doesn't mean this is guaranteed to pass. We still have to get 10 Republican votes to support this. Right now, some are saying that this will be extremely tough, and some say that they might just get those 10 votes. That it might just be the 10 negotiators from the GOP that actually support this. Everyone else says it is a firm no. But while progressives are pushing for more relief into this bill, what we are hearing is this deal has actually dropped. According to reports, there's about $600 billion in this package that is new money. Well, then I think it was last week we heard that it was about $579 billion in funding. Well, today it's now down to $550 billion in new funding. So almost a $30 billion drop. We also know that $110 billion of this is going to go to roads, $65 billion will go to broadband, and the reports are indicating as of right now that about $200 billion of the money is going to be coming from the repurposed COVID funds. And this is where a lot of the discussions are coming. As of right now, this $200 billion fund has some Democrats saying that they don't want this. They are pushing back on this. They say that the money should be held until this pandemic is over, till we're safely out of this. And right now, nobody wants to wait for that time. What I can tell you right now, time is not on Democrats' side. And I say this, and I believe the Republican Party understands this, that if they delay infrastructure, if they delay a lot of these different packages, it is ultimately going to hurt Democrats. They understand this. And so they are effectively using the same strategy that Nancy Pelosi used on them last year. They're going to use that exact same strategy this year. So my guess is Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, he understands that they're in a bind. They need to get this done. They need to get it passed quickly. And so we actually have a little bit of a timeline or a little bit of insight as to what Chuck Schumer is planning to do. Chuck Schumer said earlier today, with respect to infrastructure, senators continue to make good progress on both tracks of legislation. Both tracks, that means the $3.5 trillion and the $1.2. Members should be prepared to vote again on cloture on the motion to proceed to the bipartisan infrastructure bill as early as tonight. Yes, tonight, Wednesday, July 28th. So, is it going to happen? Most expect it will happen. And even GOP negotiator Rob Portman, he was the lead negotiator on this. He said while legislative text is still being finalized, it will be prepared for a procedural vote tonight. So, depending on when this happens, I will do another video later on today to kind of update you on what's going on there. But we will see. It looks like it's going to be a very interesting evening. We could hopefully see this bill pass. If this does, that means we will start pushing into that $3.5 trillion package. And that's where all the stimulus is. That's where everything's at. Right now, this is just a hard infrastructure bill, just pure infrastructure, no social aspect to it. But right now, this is what they want. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, he's pushing to get this vote done as quickly as possible because he knows Democrats don't have time on their side. They have to move forward with this $3.5 trillion infrastructure package before they go on recess on August 9th. And remember, we still have the Senate that has to work on the debt ceiling. They actually have to work on the government funding for 2022. And all of these things are expected to take some time. The $3.5 trillion infrastructure package, it's not going to pass overnight. It's going to have a lot of back and forth. We know it has to get all 50 Senate Democrats on board. And right now, progressives are saying they could potentially tank this bill if it doesn't have their priorities. One of their priorities is immigration reform. And that is one of those things that it's a hotly contested, legislative item because some people don't want it. Some moderates in the Senate and in the House are not in favor of any immigration reform, even though the majority of them say that yes, we have to do something. But as to what we do, that is where nobody can agree. Right now, they are saying it is imperative that the $3.5 trillion budget reconciliation bill gets passed before their August recess. But let's get into the stimulus talks for the day, okay? And I heard this a lot this morning. I've been hearing this over the past few days. I watch other people's YouTube channels. I watch the news, obviously, read things on Twitter and pretty much anywhere, right? But what I've been hearing is there is a fourth stimulus check and it is gonna pass. Okay, and I want to be 100% clear on this. As of right now, there's no fourth stimulus check. Very few lawmakers are even discussing this. Even though there's a large group of almost 100 lawmakers in the House and the Senate that are pushing and do support an additional stimulus check, nobody at this time is creating a bill. They're not prepping a bill. There's nothing even being talked about. However, and this is where things get interesting, so far this week, we've been getting a lot more reports that lawmakers, they want to see additional relief in this next bill, in this $3.5 trillion infrastructure package. However, today the reports were, let's provide relief to businesses since we will most likely have another restrictive fall and winter. So when it comes to stimulus and a possible stimulus check, or like I discussed this morning, those cash payments, what we're seeing is let's provide it to the businesses, because if you provide it to the business, then we'll see trickle down economics. The business can go hire employees. The employees will then get more money. They can go and spend it, however they wish. They can put it back into, the economy. They could pay off debt. They could put it in savings. They can pay for their house and their cars and all their assets, and maybe invest, right? All these great things. But here's the issue. What we're seeing is trickle down economics, according to some, takes too long. And this is the same argument that some progressives have when it comes to infrastructure, is it takes too long. Give the money to the American people. The people cannot wait for a state to okay a new bridge project and then fund the bridge project, get everything in line, get everything in order, and then they actually go and construct the bridge or renovate it. The American people can't wait for that, wait for those jobs to come available in 2 to 3 years. That's not something they can afford. But if you give them a stimulus check, a direct payment, a cash payment, a child tax credit payment, whatever you want to call it, that's where things get very interesting, and that's where lawmakers say we need to provide more. Some say that as we head to the end of the summer months, COVID cases don't seem to be stopping. They're actually increasing. Just yesterday, the United States, we actually reported a 7-day average, which is now the highest amount of cases in the world over the past 7 days. So yes, we're number one again. Wonderful. We saw a 131% increase in just 1 week, and worldwide COVID deaths jumped 21%. Now, that statistic is somewhat misleading here in the United States, but I wanted to bring that up to you because yes, even though it's 21% increase worldwide, what you need to keep in mind is that in the United States, we're not seeing that many deaths according to reports based on how many new COVID cases we have. So COVID cases are up, hospitalizations are up, deaths are actually down, okay? Well, essentially that they're up technically, but they're actually looking a little bit lower. So the death rate is what we want to look at. So that's actually looking a little bit better, which means hospitals are able to pretty much accommodate the people that are coming in. So that is good news. The CDC and the White House, they are now changing their stance on the mask and vaccines, which I addressed yesterday as well. Many economists predict that more will be needed if we see another partial lockdown or restrictions across the board. Some say that if businesses again struggle, they're going to lay people off. People will be impacted because of this, and this is one of the reasons why lawmakers are pushing for more stimulus. And again, whether it's a stimulus check, direct deposit, some type of tax credit, doesn't matter, right? It really doesn't matter what it is. Just give the American people more money to help them get through this tough time. That's what we're hearing. Again, the fourth stimulus check, a bill on that, there's no bill. So all those YouTubers or media outlets or whatever social media people that keep coming out and saying, hey, the fourth stimulus check, it's gonna pass tomorrow. There's no check. There's no bill. There's not even going to be a vote on the bipartisan infrastructure or the budget reconciliation bill probably for a couple of weeks. And most expect we may not see this before August 9th. And so the expectation is the Senate will actually have to delay their recess possibly 2 weeks. That's exactly what Senator Chuck Schumer said as well just last week. So as we know more there, I promise I'll fill you in on those updates as well. Now, we could see stimulus checks, money for businesses, an extension of the child tax credit payments, more rental aid, nutrition assistance, direct payments, however you want to do it, right? All these things have been proven extremely beneficial to the American people and the economy. And granted, the child tax credit payments only came out just 2 weeks ago. However, some are saying that's already so beneficial to have an additional $250 or $300 per month. And again, that's just for one child. Let's say you have 3, all between 6 and 17. That's $750 every single month that you will get. That's pretty big. So this is actually contributing, according to some, to the rise of inflation. We also know Democrats right now, they are pushing for something called student loan forgiveness. And here's what we're hearing there. And I want to bring this up because some are saying if we forgive student loans, the amount of inflation that we're going to see is just going to rise and rise and rise. Now, whether this is true or not, this is what some are saying. But what we know right now is, according to multiple reports, President Biden, he would like to cancel some student debt. However, he does not want to, or he does not agree that up to $50,000 is the right number. Multiple lawmakers, and this includes Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senator Elizabeth Warren, they even held an event yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, to discuss student debt forgiveness, why President Biden should do it. He just needs a flick of a pen and it's all done. But according to Nancy Pelosi today, she actually said, and I quote, "People think that the President of the United States has the power for debt forgiveness. He does not. He can postpone, he can delay, but he does not have that power." So, the expectation as of right now is that President Biden, all he's going to do is wait around for another couple of months. He's going to wait probably until the middle to end of September, and then he's ultimately going to do another student loan pause. And this pause could potentially last an additional 6 months. Some are expecting it's going to go from October 1st, which is when the pause is lifted, and then it would actually be extended until March 31st of 2022. If this happens, millions of people will then be able to use these pause payments for the necessities, the essentials, right? But what we are waiting on right now is to see if President Biden is willing to, step up, move forward, and urge Congress to actually do a student debt forgiveness or student loan forgiveness of up to $10,000, because that is the promise that he made when he was running for president. The other promise that he made was he would provide $200 per month boost to people on Social Security. That promise too has been unfulfilled. So what we know right now is that things are looking very different. Things are going to look different, and as I know more, I promise I will fill you in on all those details. But the last thing I want to address, again, one of the things that's looking different. If you've ever tried to buy a new car in the past 6 months, you're probably having a difficult time. What I can tell you is if you are thinking about buying a new car, you may want to reconsider. The price of new cars keeps on rising. According to J.D. Power today, they stated that the average price of a new car in July is now $41,044. Well, just last month, 30 days ago, the price for a new car on average was $39,942. So we're looking about $1,000 difference, about $1,100 difference on that, $1,200, something like that, right? And so that's actually a pretty big jump for 1 month. That's just 1 month. Reports estimate that dealerships at the end of July, so in just a few days, they're expected to have about 932,000 new cars on the lots. Well, 2 years ago, this number was actually 3.1 million cars. So experts do anticipate that the price of cars is going to keep going up, and with the child tax credit payments coming out, many people are looking into newer vehicles that are more reliable. They're better on gas, right? They don't have many issues as far as maintenance, and they want to find something bigger. As families increase, the cars need to increase in size as well. So that's what we know right now. The economy that we once knew is changing. And so we need to be ready for whatever it brings. But as I know more, I promise I will fill you in on all the latest news and updates. Just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.